Greg, I'll go to you. You have a theory.
Well, no, not a theory, but kind of, this is obviously in terrorism, and he is a terrorist. But we have to admit that this kind of terror, as opposed to Islamic terror, it is still kind of a religious fervor terror, except it's the media that is the religion that promises the afterlife. Why do people do this? It's not to get 72 virgins, it's to get 72 million hits on their Wikipedia page. If the motive is always growing your numerical significance through infamy, and with technology, one angry loser can get in the record books by doing this because you had a country paralyzed. And if you decide in life that life isn't worth living and that you hate everybody around you, this is the way to get there. It's evil through the media provides a consistent reward. And if, it used to be in the old days, if you lived in a small town, you had a community, that provided you with your feeling of worth. And for a lot of people who are isolated and they're bad people, this is their reward.
One thing we don't know yet, Jesse, and we'll continue to monitor that press conference, is motive. Do you think that there's anything in his background? I mean, he has no criminal record. He was not in the military. He was homeschooled by his mom. No political party on his voter registration. But a guy that was an electrical engineer, gone bad, very bad.
Yeah, I mean, a college dropout, lived with two roommates who they're talking to, and supposedly they're being very cooperative, had a house.
They better be.
Yeah, they better be. Those Texas law enforcement guys aren't going to take it too easy on him if they know something. There were some writings that we believe came from this person. He was talking about he was against gay marriage or something about being for the death penalty. He said he's not a political person. I guess he said he leaned conservative. We don't know yet if that was the motivation, if it was political. If there's a manifesto out there, we'll know more about that. We haven't heard anything about that yet. But just to go back to Kimberly's point, we've criticized law enforcement and the FBI and on multiple levels for years, whether it's police brutality, whether it's these shootings that were botched investigations or FISA abuse. And this is one of those moments where you have to say, you guys just did an amazing job to piece together this with the speed that they did by looking at the receipts and then matching the surveillance footage. And these batteries that were ordered from Asia, I believe, were very exotic. And then to ping his phone and to see his Google search history and do that within a really tight time span and then get his car. And then tail him until he blew himself up. I mean, we were thinking that this could go on for a while. Right. The Unabomber went on for years. I mean, this guy was over in a short amount of time, and law enforcement just did an amazing job. So I just want to say congratulations to you guys. And to the people of Austin. It's such an amazing city. I visited there several times. Beautiful people there and a great spirit. And I know they don't have to be, breathing a sigh of relief yet, but I think the worst is behind us. Yeah. And it's just amazing that I can think now they can take a breath. Juan,
there in Pflugerville, his mother, father, and two sisters also lived. And apparently they said that they had no idea, and they sent their prayers to the victims.
Isn't that a reminder of, what we saw after the Vegas terror? People said they had no idea, even the girlfriend in that case, no idea. So in this case, though, I think that everyone is going to be, just as in the Vegas case, hungry for motive, trying to understand. But the larger picture to me is that we seem to have more of these kinds of incidents, whether it's with guns or bombs in American society today. So everybody's looking at this when they put it in the category of the Unabomber or the Olympic Park bomber, or I guess there was something called a Midwest pipe bomber too. All of these different bombings. But I just think it's, we see more of these outbreaks of kind of violence, and too often, with young men. And then we have arguments and conversations about the violence in our media, in our Hollywood stories, in our video games and the like, but also mental health. But something's going on, and it's hard to get away from it and hard not to worry.
Can I respond to that? Young men are responsible for violence, but they're also responsible for a lot of things. You know what I mean? And when you go, no, I'm just saying that, like, they fight our wars.
Yes.
And they also commit a lot of crime. Mm-hmm. But you can't just say, this is a male issue. The good news here is that whenever anybody's doing a story on this, the relevant point in history is the Unabomber. That's actually good news, because that was 20 years ago. So this actually isn't common. It's actually rare. The fact that you have to go back and look for something that what's like this. Oh, it's the Unabomber, and they have to go back to 95, I think, or 94 when he was caught. So there is some kind of, I think that's encouraging. We also know that violence is on the decline. We know that.
And to your point, too, that you made before about evil and how we compare this type of domestic terrorism to Islamic terrorism in the United States, I think the Islamic terrorism is more fearful on our behalf because it's about an overall philosophy and ideology that's worldwide and has goals to take over the world. Whereas this is something like, this is a deranged kid. He doesn't fit into a category. There's no way to kind of put him into a category and then attack him through certain angles. What are you supposed to do about a person like this?
Well, I hope that
I don't know.
Well, I hope we can.
But there are strategies to neutralize Islamic terror.
But I think that's one of the things that we're starting to have to understand, that we have to be better. We have to pick up on signals more quickly, Jesse. I think that's part of it. And Greg, I agree. It's about, young men fight our wars too. But I don't think there's any question. I don't see women doing that.
No, of course. But it's obviously, I mean, if you look at prisons, how many women are in prison?
Right, much less. Right.
But what I'm saying is, like, when you say, okay, this is a problem, what are white males and what are males in general? They are at a certain age are high testosterone creatures. And they're available. I mean, they are often involved in a lot of things.
They say, our producers have been monitoring the press conference. Kimberly, they say they don't have a motive yet. Last word to you.
But basically, there's a lot of evidence left in that home, basically a treasure trove, and they're going to be able to go through and understand and get a very deep picture of who he is, who he was communicating with, what might have motivated him and was behind this. So that's the good news is we're going to learn, we'll get some understanding from this. It was stopped at an early juncture, which is critical, especially for someone who seems so furious and frenetic in terms of trying to turn these bombs out and do destruction.
And very sad for the victims and certainly the families.
God bless them and the families.